Never mind the fact that that was just a basketball in the shape of a football, because that happens when you use different software to create certain things. But this is the Blood Doctor show on a Sunday night, as it is not supposed to be. But, sometimes Valentine's Day occurs and you have to focus on that which is more important, and that is family and, quite frankly, not getting your ass kicked. And thus, we moved from the Saturday night show to the Sunday night show. And of course, as we know, the Saturday night show is only a replacement show for the King and Doc podcast when it does not run, which is enough that I need to have a backup podcast ready to go. But hey, that's how life goes sometimes. And speaking of how life goes sometimes, I think it's really important to, and this is a thing that I've gone on and on about with, every single person that I know. So I don't think that I'm breaking news or, changing the world here. But I do think it's important to note that as we continue down the, I don't know what, like, this is not like, what is the opposite of the yellow brick road? Like, I don't know what else to call the world that we're in right now. But I feel like if the yellow brick road leads you to Oz, and Oz is good, and this is sort of a pre-Wicked interpretation of the Wizard of Oz, right? Because one might watch Wicked and say to oneself, well, the yellow brick road doesn't actually lead you to anywhere good, because I guess spoilers, the wizard is evil and all of these things. So how you interpret the yellow brick road might be based on how you interpret Wicked versus the Wizard of Oz. But the point is, I still think, no matter what, I still think this is the opposite of the yellow brick road, because the yellow brick road is supposed to lead somewhere good. And nothing in this world right now is leading somewhere good, except for the fact that, funny enough, there's always another side to the tunnel. And what I mean by that is, every single day right now, you look at the news and you see a different thing that says, some sort of agency is closed, or some sort of watchdog group shut down, or, some sort of, panel dismissed. And it's obviously very disappointing, because, our government was already very toothless. I don't think that anyone would disagree with that. I don't think that anyone who's sitting here watching anything that's gone on for the last, 40 years would say that's a country that's got its shit together. But nonetheless, there were still certain rails in place. Like guardrails at the very least. Quite literally, we, at the very minimum, had things in place to keep the trucks from swerving off the cliff into oblivion. And I mean that like literally and figuratively. And now, literally and figuratively, we have neither of those things. We keep just removing safety rails every day. Just, in real life, people crash into them, and then in this government won't spend the money to fix anything. And in the, theoretical realm, as it were, we're removing, again, every single consumer, protection bureaus are gone. The Environmental Protection Agency now doesn't rate things in loss of human life, but the Environmental Protection Agency now rates things in cost of business dollars. That's environmental protection for you. But so the point is, what Republicans and all of their ilk fail to understand is the good news about all of these things is that when you reach the other end of the tunnel that I previously discussed, what that means is that now we have the ability to rebuild these things. And the thing is that previously, when you rebuilt these things, you had to rebuild them within the framework that they previously existed. Because remember, smarter Republicans who had the idea to think beyond, 1 or 2 years would do things that would make it difficult for Democrats to sort of undo them in the future. Like, there are very famous instances of the Wisconsin legislature limiting the governor's power because they knew the incoming governor was a Democrat, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's a lot of different scenarios where this occurred, right? But the point is that historically, Republicans were smarter power players and smarter at, the minutia and smarter at local government and all of these things. And what they understood was that, when you play these games, you need to make sure that you play them for the long term. And so they wouldn't shut down an agency. They would appoint a new person to the agency and change the rules of the agency and then strengthen the agency, right? But that's not what Trump does. Trump just abolishes everything. Says no more Department of Education, no more Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, no more Environmental Protection Agency, essentially, blah, 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 all these things. And the beautiful part about that is, again, when you reach the Nuremberg portion of the program, which is a phrase I love to use, that is very true. Because, again, whatever anyone thinks, I'm sure the Nazis thought they were going to rule the world too. I'm sure that Hitler thought that when he declared himself acting president of France, that was going to last forever too, just like Trump did with Venezuela, right? I'm sure that there were plenty of times where, the chancellor said, I'm going to do this. The Fuhrer said, I'm going to do this. And everyone was like, oh, yeah, that's going to last forever. And, he ended up with a bullet in his head in the ditch. Interesting note. Just pointing that out. And no matter what Republicans may think about what goes on or what control they have of the world, they are not going to be in control forever. They are not even going to be controlled past the end of 2026. There's virtually no universe where this stuff continues. They could gerrymander everything into oblivion. You can't gerrymander like humanity, right? You can gerrymander small portions of the public population. You can change demographics. You can shift things by percentage points, but you can't tell the whole world to go fuck themselves and then expect everything to go your way, because you won't win. And as crazy as that may seem at times, given how this world has gone, like Trump did lose in 2020. We know that there are limits to the elasticity of what Trump does. And that's a term that they use in politics is elasticity, right? We talk about these races, and you'll see a race and you say, oh, this guy's only trailing by 10 points. Theoretically, a Democrat could win here. Look, it's only 56-46. But then you look at the elasticity of that race and you see that what that essentially means is that the Democratic populace has never at any time ever expanded above 49%. So even when there's a scenario in which everything looks good, there's still a limit to how far you can stretch. It's the same thing with my sweatpants. It's the same thing with the voting population. And even Trump has limitations. As much as this motherfucker has run amok farther than almost anyone we've ever seen in history, save for like one or two guys, there's still a limit to how far he can go. There is still places that he can reach that even modern day MAGA Republicans won't go with him. And we're there. We're at that point. And so what I have to remind people in these moments, and here's the fun part. Democrats aren't going to do this correct. Democrats, I sound like a fucking, Democrats are not going to do this correctly. They're going to do it wrong. They're going to fuck everything up. And they're going to rebuild all these agencies horribly. But what are you going to do? The most important thing that we can remember is that every single thing that Trump has destroyed can be rebuilt so much stronger, because this is not a world in which, oh, it was destroyed, it was crushed, we can't rebuild it. That's not how any of this works. Every single fucking presidency is, these days, a myriad of presidential orders rescinding all of the previous president's orders. And it just goes back and forth and back and forth. And the opportunity needs to be taken to win this game. Let's expand the Supreme Court to 25 people, and let's pack it with a boatload of really young, really progressive people. That's something that we can do to really change the future of this country. And that would be very easy to do when you have control like the Democrats are going to have to do. Again, let's do things like make the EPA so goddamn truthful that violating them is violating a federal fucking law that puts you in prison, not a statute that puts you out of line and theoretically might get you a fine. Let's actually put teeth to the agencies that work to protect people. There are things you can do to actually fix this world. And oh my God, isn't it crazy? You can use the federal government to do them. And wouldn't it be shocking to find out that this thing that takes every single dollar that all of us have can be used for actual good for the American people? Holy shit, what a fucking novel concept that is. It is embarrassing to be an American. When I watch the Olympics right now, I am reminded every single day that that is what patriotism is actually for. That is what nationalism is actually for. Every single time I watch the Olympics, I say to myself, this is the point. This is what we're supposed to be doing. This is where I'm supposed to care about my country. Because in this case, I am rooting for some 17 or 18-year-old kid, or maybe a 40-year-old who's bringing it back Lindsey Vonn style. But the point is, I'm rooting for a person from my country who works their ass off to do this one thing, whatever it is: snowboarding, hockey, slalom, skiing, bobsled, in this case, Winter Olympics, right? But it's incumbent upon me to root for the American, if only because we were born in the same place. And that's what we're doing. They're competing for the country. I should root for my country. That's where nationalism and patriotism hold value. In the Olympics, in the World Cup, in international competition, not war. Every single person knows that war should not exist. And to quote an episode of The Rehearsal, every single day I curse the Chinese for inventing gunpowder. I joke. It's not true in terms of cursing the Chinese, but it is true that the Chinese invented gunpowder. And every single day I ask myself, what if that didn't happen? Not about the Chinese. Any group of people could have invented gunpowder, but what if gunpowder just didn't exist? What if we didn't have bombs? What if we didn't have guns and bullets? I ask myself these questions all the time because, I mean, the answer, unfortunately, would be toxic poisons and knives and fire and all these other things. We are so hell-bent on destroying ourselves one way or another that even when you have something that is actually worth holding up your flag for and saying USA because some badass 17-year-old kid just ripped off an awesome snowboard run. Even in those moments, I'm like embarrassed to be cheering for my country. I can't imagine being in Italy right now and chanting USA, USA, because the way that they would look at you. And I'd have to be like, USA, but not Trump. You'd have to like say that to people in other countries. And they can try to present whatever is going on in some, authoritative Eastern European countries as validation of what's happening here, as if that's realistically what most Americans want. And we all know it's bullshit. We all know it's the result of gerrymandering. And I mean, again, studies have shown the vote of a person in Wyoming is 2.5 times the value of a vote in California. Why does Wyoming have 2 senators? There are less people in Wyoming than there are in the city of Los Angeles. And yet that state still has 2 senators that make up 1/50th of the voting population of our entire Senate. It's complete horseshit. Every single thing in this country is set up to ensure that small classes of people, the ruling elite essentially, control every single thing. And so when we are actually presented with an opportunity where one of those ruling elite is so stupid that he is tearing down all of these walls and all of these boundaries and ripping down every single institution that exists so that he can save a few bucks on his taxes a few times, I believe it is incumbent upon the people currently in office and who are going to be elected soon to see that there is very much an opportunity here to change things in a way that could be not only, long term and everlasting and effective, but meaningful. And you might think that the first three things are part of the last one, but it's not. So many things that we do are effective, but they're horrible. So many things that we do are everlasting, but they don't help anybody. And we have an opportunity now to do meaningful things that actually create a better world for our children and our children's children. And it's cliched bullshit. The children are the future, all of these things. And yet it's honest to God, the truth. If you ask me if I cared about these things 10 years ago, I cared about them in so much as I was a Bernie Sanders delegate, and it was my job to ensure that, God damn it, did my Twitter look good with all the people that I was getting to donate to Bernie Sanders? Did I care? I don't know. I'd love to think that I did. I'd love to think that the things that I did, that I got other people to do, meant a lot. But now I am a parent. Now I have 2 children. Now I know what actually is at stake. And whether or not I understood it when I was younger and preaching these things is immaterial to the fact that I stand on them now. So I look at my younger self who had ideals and he didn't even know if he understood them, and screamed them like the Sermon on the Mount as if they were the most important thing in history. And I say to that person, good for you, because for once you did something that was good. You had the correct idea, because so many other people fall victim to, we've all seen what happens to people on the internet with, I've had so many friends who fall into alt-right tunnels. There is so much to this world that makes it so easy to be hateful. And so the one thing I'm going to give myself credit for, and the one thing I'm going to stand on, and the one thing I'm going to keep, is that I have always seen the possibility that these motherfuckers, and it started in 2016 and it's still true now a decade later, the opportunity still exists as they tear it down. It could be rebuilt much better. And at this point, with the second Trump term, with Project 2025 well underway, but again, not very effective. They lose every single lawsuit they bring. They pass a bunch of laws that get overturned. Again, I mean, it's most of what they have effectively done is destroyed and dispersed entire bureaus of the government, to which I say, okay, so let's build new ones. And let's make them so much worse. Let's make them so much more truthful that it makes them angry. And let's do things like pass retroactive laws to undo the things that have done that will make companies very angry and say things like, if you do this, we're going to leave. Good, leave. You're not even paying taxes here anyway. And they won't. Call their bluff. For once, stop kissing the ass of all these fucking people who all the billionaires were going to leave New York when Mamdani was elected. None of them did it. Every single company, I'm going to leave if a liberal is elected president. None of them do it. Call their bluff. Fight back for once. And this is an extended speech for me normally on the socialism stuff, because I normally take 5 to 10 minutes to do this. But this one's important to me because this is a legitimate opportunity to do something that actually, again, can affect meaningful change. They are tearing down all of the pillars of everything. But they are also, they're just leaving them there. They're not rebuilding them in a way that prevents you from fixing it. It's a tornado that tears through a town. Yeah, the town's fucked up. Let's rebuild the town. That's what we are right now. We are not in a place where this cannot be fixed. We are not in a place where the world has been destroyed and there is no future. We are at a place where we now see the failure of our regulatory system that has never stood in place. We see things like the Hatch Act, which has been repeatedly violated. in the name of making Trump feel good about himself. So I ask you, is this the end? Or is this simply the time that we can make these motherfuckers pay with the federal government that actually stands for the people and not for corporations? And after the midterms in 2026, the Democratic Party is going to have the ability to answer that question in a very real way. And I'm afraid of what the answer is going to be. But I hope it will be a better one. Oh. That being said, it's All-Star Weekend, motherfuckers. And in addition to the United States needing a reshaping, All-Star Weekend needs a reshaping. And you might say to yourself, that's a really crazy leap for you to make. How can you compare the United States of America to NBA All-Star Weekend? And I ask you, if you know anything in the world that has a Q rating as low as the United States of America and NBA All-Star Weekend, I'd love to know what it was. All that being said, I actually kind of enjoyed the All-Star game today. I have to be honest. The 3 teams thing and the back and forth quarter shit seemed dumb. It felt stupid. But ultimately, it actually ended up being sort of a good time. The final quarter with the kids basically just running the old dudes off the court was pretty interesting. Booker and Maxey were just pretty much having none of it, which was very interesting given the fact that Kawhi was absolutely killing it earlier. But ultimately, this is sort of what happens with the All-Star game is once every few years, there's a halfway decent one. And people sort of enjoy it. And we're like, the All-Star game is fixed. And then the next weekend, it's garbage again. And look, I've said this many, many times. The All-Star game no longer makes sense as a concept. The idea of the All-Star game is very simple, right? Let's consider history. Before the Instagram era, before the Twitter era, before YouTube, all these things, I don't get to see the players from the other teams. If I live in Los Angeles, I don't get to see the Celtics play. I don't get to see the Knicks play. I don't get to see the Bulls play. I don't get to see Miami play, all these things. So historically, it made so much sense to bring all these players together for one game in which all the stars would play and fans would get to know these stars that they otherwise don't know anything about. And there'd be a 3-point contest and a dunk contest and all these other things that would allow fans to be introduced to players in markets that they otherwise have no access to. Well, guess what? Now we have League Pass. Now we have Instagram. Now we have Twitter. Now we have TikTok. And as Adam Silver has so adeptly pointed out, this is a highlight league. And so given that it's a highlight league, I know these guys. All-Star Weekend doesn't have a point anymore. Now, a lot of people didn't like what baseball did. For a long time, I think it was like 10, 15 years, the baseball All-Star game decided which league had home field advantage in the World Series. I loved that. I thought it was awesome. And I got to be honest with you, if you go watch some of those All-Star games, they were fucking competitive because there were a lot of dudes competing for making sure they had home field in the World Series. I honestly God think that shit worked. People hate it. A lot of people hate it. I loved it. I also loved the Elam ending in the All-Star game that the NBA had a few years ago. The Elam ending is essentially you reach 4 minutes left in the game, you turn the clock off, you add 20 points to the team that's leading score. So if it's 80-70, now we're adding 20, so that's 100. That's our target. Whoever gets to 100 first wins. And what essentially that does is it eliminates the free throw game, right? We all hate the free throw bullshit at the end of games. And what the Elam ending does is it eliminates that because it forces teams to play defense because you can't give up free throws because they may reach the target score and you might lose. But again, as good as the All-Star game was when the NBA used it in 2020, shortly after Kobe died, they're resistant to it. They won't go back to it. So every single year, they do these different things. Look, there's no more purpose to the All-Star game. The only thing that anyone really cares about is the 3-point contest and the dunk contest. And none of the good players will compete in the dunk contest. Essentially because if they fuck up and do something stupid, they'll get clowned on social media. That's what Vince Goodwill was saying on ESPN, and honest to God, he's right. Nobody cool competes in the dunk contest anymore. The 3-point contest is the only thing left has any value, just listen. Just get rid of it. We don't need it anymore. Just make the All-Star break a break. Vote guys to the All-Star team. They do not need to play in some sort of ceremonial game that nobody watches. Honest to God, it should just be abolished. It serves no purpose anymore. There was a time when it was absolutely important and a phenomenal way to introduce people to the league. But at this point, so many of the players skip. You might as well make the All-Star game something that only is eligible to players in like their first 2 to 3 years. Guys who want an international stage to showcase themselves. Like, there are things you could do, but for the most part, this idea of we're going to get the best players to play in the best, that's gone. When I was a kid, they went at each other. They didn't defend hard. They didn't rotate, but they played one-on-one hard. The games were at least entertaining. That shit's gone. It's just a giant festival that doesn't even really make a ton of money. Just move on. All-Star games had a lot of value. They don't anymore. And unless you're going to do something like put the home court advantage for the NBA Finals on it or something to that effect, which, again, most people hate, there's really not much point. I don't think anyone's missing out. And I understand the idea for the NBA. It's like, oh, but we're losing this thing where we theoretically could make a lot of money. And again, take the biggest name stars out of it. Make it about the young and up and coming players that you want to introduce to the league, to the world. Like that, that could be something you could do. But the All-Star game itself is, again, it's purposeless. Every 3 or 4 years, we'll have a game that's halfway decent, but everyone knows all the players. There's no, if you want to fix the All-Star weekend, you literally have to come up with something that legitimately, it's the same problem with the NBA Cup. No one cares. They're just basketball games. We are watching basketball to watch a team win an NBA championship. And all these other things about it are completely superfluous and have nothing to do with winning a fucking NBA championship. Would I love the Suns to win a cup? Sure. Why not? Absolutely. Be fun. But it doesn't mean anything. Nobody's going to sit here and raise a banner for a cup and say, we really did it. What matters is winning an NBA championship. And when the NBA can understand that All-Star weekend needs to be re-coordinated around something having to do with playoffs and the championship, things will get better. On that note, in terms of fixing the NBA, there's one other thing I wanted to talk about, which everyone in the world hates tanking. It's, the most common topic on every single basketball podcast in the world right now is how do we fix tanking? Everyone, everyone's sick of tanking. And this year it's specifically a big deal because you've got a draft with so many incredible players that, there are potentially 4 dudes that could change your franchise. So, with the flattened lottery odds, teams are going to tank like crazy. And the problem is very simple, right? When the odds are that more losses equal more chances to get a better pick, you're going to have teams that just tank to be bad. When the odds are flat, you're going to have teams that will tank out of the play-in because they want a better shot at a number 1 overall pick than they want to be in the play-in. There's always going to be scenarios in which teams try to manipulate their way to having a shot at the number 1 overall pick. And here's my solution to that problem. I think that what we should do, and again, this is radical. I've heard a lot of things. Zach Lowe recommended some version of this, but I don't think they recommended this all the way. But essentially, I'm saying that teams that lose the first round of the NBA playoffs should be put into the lottery for 2 running years. So essentially, every team that loses a first round series over the last 2 years is put into the lottery in the next year. If there's a team that loses in both years, then we take, the next closest team from the play-in, essentially, that won the most games. And essentially what you're doing then is you're taking teams that were close to being good, but aren't quite there, and putting them into the lottery for the number 1 overall pick. Because the problem is that teams will tank an entire season for Victor Wembanyama, right? Or they'll tank out of the first round of the playoffs for Victor Wembanyama. But here's the thing. You can't tank a playoff series. Like, you cannot ask players already in the playoffs to lose or to sit out of a playoff game. Like, you can't do that. One thing that we forget about tanking is that organizational goals and player goals are not aligned. The players do not want you to add the number 1 overall pick. And that's the whole thing about this. Let's make it, if you win the NBA Cup, you get the number 1 overall pick. The players don't want that. These guys don't want to add a generational talent that's going to take their spot on the roster. Okay? So the players do not want to add the number 1 overall pick. There may be certain situations where they want to add talent, but in a lot of scenarios, these things where you're saying, let's make it up to the players to do it. Why are end of the bench players scraping to help get a number 1 overall pick to a team that's going to kick them off the roster? They're not going to do that. But in a team scenario in which I'm already in the playoffs, there's no scenario in which I'm not going to try to win. We're going to try to win in the second round. And the players, again, will be doing exactly that. They'll be trying to win. So for the organization, it's a win-win either way. Either they win and go to the second round, or they lose and they get in the lottery for the number 1 overall pick. If you get to the second round, dude, it's a fucking crapshoot. You have a shot at a title. So nobody's going to be tanking out of – nobody's going to be like in position to win and get to the second round, and they're going to tank out of that to like get the number 1. That's never going to happen, because when you're that close to a championship, you would never walk away from that. You would never take you out of that, even for a potential generational prospect, because, again, look at what happened with Greg Oden. Look at what happened with Zion Williamson. Like, look at what's happened with DeAndre Ayton. You just don't know what's going to happen, even when you get the number 1 overall pick. If you're in the playoffs, you go for it. And so I just think the number one thing that we should do is, if you lose in the first round, you get put in the lottery for, the top 14. And then basically the remainder of the teams that move on and that don't make the playoffs get put into some sort of, lottery system as well, so that they're not necessarily punished for not making the playoffs or whatever. But, there's no tanking bullshit at all. You would literally have teams competing till the very end of the season, because if they make the play-in but don't make the playoffs, they might still theoretically get in the lottery, because a team might be knocked out in the first round multiple years in a row. It's the only way that you're going to have every single game matter for the whole season, is if you make winning tied to, getting the number 1 overall pick. Teams will no longer, tank players. But again, player goals and team goals are not aligned. So you have to completely separate those. And players want to make the playoffs. Players want to win. And if you say to teams, hey, if you tank and miss the playoffs, you're going to be in the back end of the draft. But if you make the first round, you've got a shot at getting the number 1 overall pick. And again, if you make the second round, yeah, you're not going to get a great pick. But if you make the second round, you are never going to get a great pick anyway. You made the second round. You're very, very close. Like, I just think that this is the best way to. And again, if a team tried to like bench players to lose a series, then you force that owner to sell a team, because we're not throwing playoff series. And that would legitimately be like a gambling problem, a league problem. You literally can't do that stuff. So I think this shit works. I think it's a way to do it. And I think there's no chance that they'll do it, because it makes perfect sense. And when something makes perfect sense, we know that a sports league will never do it, because that's how it goes. What are you going to do? I say all this to say, sometimes it's just fucked. And when things are just fucked, the only thing you can do is laugh. And when you need to laugh, you need to bring on the people who know how to tell the same kind of jokes that you're trying to tell. because otherwise it just doesn't go very well. And so, given that we're doubling up and doubling the show and doubling the time and doubling the work and doubling the amount of water that I'm going to drink and all of it, let's double the people. What's up, Keith?
What's up? Not much, man. Just hanging out, watching the show from the Raptors.
Green room style.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah,
that's good, man. How's your week been? Aside from I mean, we barely had any Suns basketball. We'll have to talk about that on SNS, but it's been a weird week. We got no football.
Yeah,
there's very little. It's like hockey's on a break.
Yeah,
because the Olympics,
the Olympics is basically.
If you want sports, it's the Olympics. Yeah. We're watching snowboarding and we're sitting here like basically like, oh no, he touched the ground. That's gonna be a 68.3. Like we're becoming snowboarding experts, every day. Cause I mean, this is kind of where we're at this point.
It is a different world when there's no football. And then with the all-star break, like you're saying,
Yeah, it's crazy. Like all this stuff falling, like the Winter Olympics and NBA All-Star being right at the same time is like, I don't know if that was, I mean, I'm sure it wasn't intentional. I guess I don't know if historically that's a thing that normally happens with the Winter Olympics. Maybe it is. Just something I've never paid attention to. But honestly, it's crazy because hockey. I was like, why is hockey on a break? It's not hockey all-star. And I was like, oh yeah, they're all fucking in Italy.
oh yeah.
I'd rather be in. I mean, can you imagine the pasta? Although listen. I made some chicken parm today on the grill. That's we grilled a pizza and chicken parm today. So listen, nobody can fuck with what I do on a charcoal grill because I do it all.
I love that. That pizza was good.
It was.
I basically ate half of that.
Who would thought that like a smoked pizza? It's like a whole different. It changes the game because you think, oh, this will be like a wood fired pizza. Nope, It's a whole different thing. I do wonder if that'd be cool to like post online like the charcoal smoked pizza and see if like the Italians like get enraged because you see those memes of like Italian people responding to the way that someone cooks Italian food and they're like, my grandmother would kill me if she saw me do this. I'm like, well, get your grandmother, bitch, because I'm doing it right now. Like I don't, it's
those videos of taking Italian people to the Olive Garden, which the Olive Garden's good. But they always,
do they get like mad or whatever? Man,
I've never actually watched them. I shouldn't have brought it up, but I've heard that they exist.
Man, you know what? Listen, people hate on the Olive Garden. This is a pro Olive Garden podcast. This is a pro Chili's podcast.
Yes.
And no, I am not supported by the one person watching. Are you paid by the? Yeah, no, I'm not the one person in my living room watching it.
What if they want to pay us?
It'd be phenomenal. But like, people are like, hey, I love this world where like everyone's like, you're a loser. You go to McDonald's. It's like it's $1 trillion company. Literally, everyone goes there. Everyone goes to Olive Garden. Everyone goes to McDonald's. Everyone goes to Chili's. Like, don't even hate. Nobody is sitting here being like, Olive Garden is the pinnacle of Italian food. We're just saying that fucking I've got $20 and unlimited soup and breadsticks is good. That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what I'm going to Olive Garden is I have $50. I'm trying to feed my wife and kid, and I've got unlimited soup and breadsticks in this place. That's what Olive Garden means. I mean, come on. Like, why are we hiding what we're actually talking about here?
Yeah.
In what world is unlimited breadsticks bad? Like,
that's one of my favorite things in the world.
There are like unlimited Olive Garden breadsticks. Like, listen, if it was truly unlimited, like if I could just move into an Olive Garden, like, listen, I'd like move into a booth. You just put up a little curtain, and you just be like, I live here now. Yeah. Bring me soup and salad forever. And they're like, this is a health code violation. Please leave. But I mean, for real, the hating on Olive Garden stuff. I mean, fuck people. Like, fuck. Like, I people are such douchebags. Some guy on Reddit posted that he was taking his wife to, I think, the Backstreet Boys show at the Sphere, which I'm already just like, hey, fuck you. But I decided to be like, cool about it. And he was like, I'm trying to figure out like a cool place to eat. And I don't want to go to Tao. at the Venetian because that seems too like, and I'm like, well, he's like, I want late night eats. And I'm like, that's cool. Number one, Tao's not open that late. So that's real smart. I was like, what I would do is go to the Grand Lux. I was like, it's good food. I was like, it's open late. They have a million things. And he was like, oh, I'm looking for something that was a little bit less Cheesecake Factory. And I was like, okay, you know what? Go fuck yourself. Because like you literally just said, I'm looking for somewhere to go. I don't want to go to the poshest place. I want to go somewhere that's a little more accessible. And I gave you a place that literally serves delicious steaks, serves all these things. And you're like, oh, I don't want what do you want? What the fuck is it? Why don't you describe the restaurant and have the Venetian build it for you? Because that's apparently the only thing that's going to make it work for you. So I got banned from this subreddit because I have so many banned Reddit accounts, and it's all because I told some person to go fuck themselves.
Wow.
Like
that is soft though for Reddit.
Yeah, it's all. Listen, okay. I'm in such a good mood. So last week we were on this podcast, and I was in the middle of beginning to tell a story, and I forgot it. And I was like, oh, I forgot it. I remember it now, and it's related to Vegas because I'm a person. Here's the thing, and you can account for this. I tell people to go fuck themselves online to their face. This is who I am. It gets me in trouble. It doesn't always go well, but I am who I am. And again, not always a good thing, but a realistic thing. So at least if I'm getting banned for Reddit for being myself, so be it.
That's a pillar of discussion too. Like if you can't say take a go fuck yourself, I mean,
what are we even talking about?
Why are you even on the internet?
And it reminds me of a story. So this is probably, this is 12 years ago at this point. This is like 2014, 2013, maybe. This is a long time ago. This is 2013. This is 12 or 13 years ago. And we're in Las Vegas. And it's me and Keith and our friend Brian, who is a conservative who we don't really know anymore. I don't know what's ever happened to him. I don't know if he's good. I don't know if he's bad. I don't wish bad or good on him unless he's currently someone explaining how Trump isn't actually in the Epstein files, in which case I wish horrible things on him. If he is someone who has seen the light of day, then I wish really good things for him. So how I feel about Brian is completely dependent about how he feels about the Epstein files. I'm not sure that I'll ever know the answer to either question, but nonetheless, at the time, we were all very good friends, which again, as I said last week, it's truly amazing that there was a time in my life when I was able to have like a best friend who was a Republican. The three of us were inseparable. We were roommates, we did everything together. We were a group. Like it was our whole thing. Like the woman, one of the women in the apartment across the way came out in the hall in the alley one time and yelled, "The boys on the second floor." And she comes out and screams. And she's like, "You guys smoke weed and listen to music 24/7. Some of us have to work. I don't think any of you work. I assume someone works because you have to pay rent." We were those people. And we got into it with our landlord. And he's like, "You guys smoke all these cigarettes." And we're like, "We don't even smoke cigarettes." He's like, "You're smoking one right now." I'm like, "This is a fucking joint. This is not even a cigarette." That wasn't that guy. Yeah, but that also wasn't the right answer. He's like, "I'm gonna throw you out of here." Yeah. And then so the point is, we had an animated history with this person. We were very close, and it's funny that I was ever close with a Republican. I digress. We are in Las Vegas, and we are walking in front of the hotel that is now gone, across the street from the Excalibur and the MGM. I can't even remember the name. Regardless, next to Hooters, and Brittany's in another room right now shouting the name of the hotel. And so we're walking on the street, and this dude has like some kind of Vegas, flyer that's like a political thing. And he's like, "Will you sign our thing to whatever?" And Brian's just like, "Nope." And the guy's like, "Nope," just like that. And Brian's like, "Yup." And I start dying laughing. And so the thing is, we're like walking by this dude, and it's the escalators. And so we're walking by this dude. Brian says, nope, yep, as he walks on. And Brian just walks on the escalator, walks away. And I just start laughing. And I start laughing so fucking hard. And we just get on the escalator. And I'm like, I'm sorry, man. I'm like, I'm not laughing at you. I'm like, that was just funny. And he just kind of looked at me like, whatever. And we went about our day. And it wasn't that big of a deal. Like, I just laughed very hard in his face. And he had sort of a visceral reaction to it. But I was like, my bad, dude. No, whatever. And we go about our day. We go gamble. We watch a bunch of games. We're coming back later that day. We're going to an escalator, and I see that same dude again. You remember, we see the same guy. And I instantly remember the reaction I have at this moment. And I was like, wait a minute. I was like, you were the one that he said no to, right? And I like start laughing again. Like in this guy's face, I had the exact same reaction, laughing. And I'm probably drunk and high. I just thought it was the funniest fucking thing that we ran into this guy again. Because we walked right by. It was the exact same thing. And I swear to God, to this day, no matter what I have done, no person on this planet has wanted to kill me as much as that man wanted to kill me watching me ride up that escalator. Because I was watching him. I was laughing as I rode up the escalator because it was just hilarious to me that we saw him again. And I was laughing the whole way. And just the look on his face, like he stared at me. He did not break contact. He did not sort of laugh. He did not kind of smile. I swear to God, that man wanted to murder me. And I have never in my life felt hatred like I felt from that guy. Like, I swear to God, if he had a gun on him, he would have shot me. Like the look of hate was so pure. And the thing is, it made me laugh 10 times harder because I'm just drunk. I'm just walking down the street. I'm not even trying to whatever. But when I saw him again and laughed at him for the second time, I will never forget that Escalade ride because it's like 15 seconds.
Yeah, they're not fast rides.
Yeah, but it felt like an hour because he just and it was. There was no humor. There was no moment of you got me. It was like, I want to squeeze the life out of you. And to this day, it's the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen. I feel like he probably tells this story in a very different version. He's like, I had this opportunity to kill a guy once, and it would have been totally justified. Like, yeah. I feel like that's his version of the story.
I believe it. The air was tense. I thought he might attack us.
I thought he was gonna like run up the escalator and try to choke me out, dude. Like, I just remember looking back down. I'm like doubled over laughing, and I'm looking at him. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's gonna fucking kill me. Like, Brian was such an asshole to him, and it was so funny to me. And the thing is, I would not find that funny now. I'd be like, hey, we don't need to. This guy's just. But at that time, when I was so immature, I just thought it was the funniest thing in the world. Like, I don't know. And I've made people angry. Like, I've made people really mad. I've done some shitty things to people that I'm not proud of, that I didn't mean to, or that I did mean to, or whatever. I'm not a good person at times in my history. I screwed up. But never, I've seen the look of why. Why would you do this? Never, I'm going to kill you. Like, it was just truly. And I would invite that guy on this show to talk to him about it. I often think about the fact that my ridiculous memory means that I think about things in an outsized way. Like, I know that I remember things happening that mean nothing to other people because they don't remember them at all. Because this is a couple years ago. You probably don't even remember this story, but there was a friend of ours from Boy Scouts who I was like in camp with for a week, and we were campmates, and like we were like friends, and we had a whole thing. He did not fucking remember who I was at all, and I was like, you motherfucker, how dare you? You'd remember it. And he was like, he's like, I just do not. And it was the funniest fucking thing because I have these insanely outsized memories of people. And in a lot of them, I'm sure mean nothing to other people, but I would wager like a lot of fucking money that guy remembers that moment.
Yeah,
like
that he won't forget.
Yeah, that he won't forget. I wonder what I look like in his mind. Like, I bet I've gotten like fatter and fat. Like now I'm this like 800-pound, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm like, whoa, like the laughter gets more and more monstrous over time, and I'm throwing things at him, you know, like
he's in the psych ward.
Yeah, he's like, please, sir, may I just have his signature? And I'm like, oh no. I steal his girlfriend and take his wallet. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would love to hear his version of that story because I bet it's different from mine. Aside from that, I had a bit that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Because, you know, we've been talking about stand-up and stuff lately. And I'm on this thing, man. I'm on it. I'm just like, all right, one Monday, we get up at 6 a.m., we drive to the Comedy Store, we do the Monday audition, and then we just come home. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah,
we do it. Like, it's one of these things, like, because I don't know what it is. It's probably podcasting.
Mm-hmm.
I get on here and I'm like, oh, I love talking. I should do stand-up comedy. But it reminds me of, you know, life in Los Angeles. Because the thing is that, you know, in it's honest to God true. You hear it in every New York comedian's stories, right? That just living life in New York or living life in Los Angeles is a whole comedy routine in and of itself because of, you know, what you run into on a day-to-day basis. Like, you know, how many people did we see on the Blue Line that were like 2 for $5? And it was like, what the hell are they selling, right? You know?
Blank CDs.
Yeah. Blank CDs, 2 for $5. or, you know, pretending they got DVDs and it's, you know, or it's like they got Reese's 2 for $5. And it's like, dog, I could go get like 5 for $5 of this. Like, you know, it's always, everything's 2 for $5, 2 water bottles. But it's, you know, it's just, that's the thing on the Blue Line is everything's 2 for $5. And you just sort of run into some of that shit. Like, you know, just the number of.
I bought one of those ones.
Yeah. What'd you buy?
Oh man, I can't remember. It was like one of those Wu-Tang movies. Like one of the guys from the Wu-Tang Clan was.
Oh my God.
From like 2012. I can't.
Did you get the movie or was it blank?
It was blank.
Oh damn.
But the thing is I more just bought it just to like help the guy out. I didn't really care if the movies were on.
That's hilarious. He like thought he scammed you, and you're like, I knew it was blank, dude. It's okay. You're like, I didn't need $5. It's okay.
Exactly. It was also like 11 o'clock at night, so I was also a little bit afraid of the person.
You're like, it's really actually just like a passive robbery. Like, like I was proud of the fact that I got away with the blank disc because I thought he might just stab me. So, you know, that's the Hannibal Buress passive burglary thing. You know, the like if you go to someone's house at 5 a.m. and eat and drink all their food and don't sleep with them, that's a passive burglary. Like, but yeah, no, I dude, we've all been in those moments on the train in LA where it's like, that person's gonna rob me. You know what I'm saying? We've all been in that moment. It's just like you're like coming up to Fifth Street and you're going to First, and you're like, that dude's gonna rob me. So you hop off at Fifth,
Dude, yes,
and then you get off at Fifth, and you're like, oh man, I should have stayed on the train and taken my chance with that one dude because these people are gonna rob me now. Like, man, Long Beach was like. That's the funny thing is, and we lived in one of the safest parts of Long Beach, and it's still like Long Beach is not to be fucked with, man. Like we had some shit. Like I think I told the story about the dude, you know, the guy who came up to us and like we're walking home from the liquor store, and this guy, and I swear to God, he's like 4'10". I'm not even exact. I mean, he's this tall. I'm looking down at him, and he's up in my face yelling. And I can't understand what he's saying because he's speaking in Lollipop Guild language. And, you know, I don't know. He's yelling something. I've offended him somehow. I don't know. And he had his hand behind him like he might have a weapon. So there's this part of me It's like, a little, and then I look up and I see Keith. Keith's standing behind him with a beer bottle in his hand, like just sighing, like I really don't want to do this. Like just looking, like just ready to hit this dude over the head. And so I'm like, okay. So I just said, I was like, I'm very sorry, sir. I understand you represent the Lollipop Guild here as a candy cane. I apologize to you. And I don't remember what exactly happened, but he walked away. This dude was, I swear to God, he was literally 4'10". And I'm not trying to, people, it was an incredibly aggressive stance for a person that I really could have done legitimate whack-a-mole to, for him to like have that level of aggression. I mean, I felt that this was something that had been going on with him his whole life, but nonetheless, I'm very curious. Like, I still wonder to this day, what did I say?
No,
or what? I have no idea.
No idea. We weren't even talking.
We were not even talking to him. We weren't talking about him. We were walking over to the liquor store and getting tacos. And this guy
hanging out behind the bar.
Yeah, and then he just loses his shit, which to this day I still don't know. But I often think about, like, just how that would have gone is, how difficult it would be when the PT Cruiser came. Okay, that's a reference to a joke no one's gonna get. Anyway, so
I was ready to swing on him.
Yeah, you were. No,
you.
I remember. I was, because I was like, God damn, all right. Like, I remember looking. You were prepared. I was like, God damn, all right. Well, I was like, let's not kill this guy.
Only if he attacked you.
Yeah, we were good. Yeah, it was a defense thing, but he was like.
He was like on drugs or something.
Yeah, there was very clearly something wrong. There was a lot of fucking meth in that. There's a lot of meth everywhere. Who are we kidding? Another one of my favorite stories is the time that I was waiting for Brittany to pick me up outside a car rental place. And I'm smoking a cigarette, and this dude like comes up to me. He's like, do you have any meth? I was like, no. I'm like, no, I don't have meth. He's like, oh, I don't know. You're smoking a cigarette. So I was like, yeah, those are not the same.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't do drugs. I was like, I smoke cigarettes and weed. So thanks. And he's like, you shouldn't smoke weed. That's bad for you. I was like, are you not the motherfucker that just asked me for meth right now? Am I crazy? Did I just forget? I'm like, no, that was you. And he's like, what I like to do, again, completely unprompted, still just talking. I already was like, please end this. He goes, what I like to do is I get some food and alcohol and I give it to a bum and I share it with them, and then they share their meth with me. And I'm like, so I just want to make sure I understand you. You're telling me that you get dirty homeless person meth and you think that's safer than weed? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, please just don't talk to me anymore. And then Brittany showed up and I left. And that was Phoenix. So those are the kind of conversations that you have. A lot of times I'm like, man, I don't understand these who's talking about the streets aren't that bad. Then you talk to someone, you're like, oh yeah, no, okay, the streets aren't that bad. They're pretty horrible. You go to the Greyhound bus station in San Diego, California, and then talk to me about whatever. But okay, this one other thing I had. So I don't believe you were with me this time. I think I was. I believe I was with Danny riding home the time we went from the Lakers game. I don't know. I don't know. Regardless, this is years ago. I'm on the blue line, and there's this nice looking older black couple. They look affluent, like they're both brand new iPhones, very nice jackets, we're just on the blue line. And I'm not really like noticing anything about them, whatever. And there's this really skinny white kid standing by the door while it's open at the station. And I noticed him. I was like, his position is kind of weird. And so then the thing dings and it's like, the doors are now closing. Please stand clear. And he reaches around, grabs the dude's iPhone, just yoink, and then takes off out the fucking door. And the door closes. And this kid just like takes off with this dude's iPhone. And the guy like freaks out and goes to chase him. And the guy's wife is like, hey, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's just a phone. But it was just like this skinny ass white kid in these ratty ass clothes just took this fucking iPhone from this dude. And I was like, man, that's Martin Luther King Jr.'s America right there. I am judging this man not by the color of his skin, but by the content of his character. That white motherfucker is fucked up. He just robbed those fucking rich black people. Goddamn, fuck that guy. He's an asshole. I was like, wow. This is America right here. I know there's a punchline in there about the content of his character thing. I know it still needs to be worked on, but I just remember thinking that in that moment, I was like, man, that poor white kid just robbed those rich black people. We finally made it. Like that was like, it was in my mind because I was just like, because we were not only that, but it was at the Crenshaw Blue Line station. And the white kid hops off and runs onto Crenshaw after robbing a black guy. Do you know the level of balls you need to have to rob a black dude on Crenshaw? This kid, and that's what I'm saying is because now, that South Central Los Angeles is much more Hispanic. The world has changed. I'm just saying, like, I was just like, that's America. And, I hope that dude got, insurance for his phone or whatever. But I just, in that moment, I just remember thinking like, man, yeah. Not that I was happy that a white dude robbed a black dude, but more just that a white kid was so poor that he had to rob affluent black people. I was like, we finally did it.
Yeah.
We finally made an equal culture. Like, yeah. And I really think there's a content of his character joke in there, but I also feel like I really gotta walk on the eggshells with that one because clip that.
Yeah,
whatever.
clip that.
Yeah.
Just remember that.
We'll see what the internet thinks.
We'll workshop it.
Well, I figured if I told Hooli that, he would be like, "Oh, I wouldn't do that," and that's how I would know that I should do it. So
there's definitely something
I love
there.
You, Hooli. I'm just playing.
There is definitely something there.
There's something there. Like because I do like I would imagine that part of Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream is that we can fucking make jokes like that eventually that are not, like I would imagine that Martin Luther King would look at the Che and Jost joke swap and be like, yes. You know what I'm saying? Like I would hope so.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm way off, but I would hope that's like where we are at this point. Like, cause I mean, it's like those are,
that's done in the spirit of love.
Exactly. In the spirit of peace and love. And that's what this joke is. Cause again, it's just, to me, it was just very funny to see this like very stereotypical racial situation completely flipped.
Mm-hmm.
And, you just realize like, we really do. This really is a world where anyone could be in any situation. And it just felt like, again, I felt very bad for the guy who got robbed. Like I felt horrible for him. The thing is, though, he like ran out after him, and his wife was like, "Don't," because he shouldn't. Yeah. Side note: never. If someone robs you, let him. Don't. There's no.
Never follow a thief to a second location.
Never follow a hippie or a thief to a second location. But really, like, your phone is not worth it. Nothing is worth your life. Nothing is ever worth your life. That's the most important thing that we can remember. I'll close this show with one piece of advice on that note that I got from someone else. There's something that is actually I really keep dear to me and think about a lot, is that, he said, never skip an event with your children to work, because you'll never remember what you were working on, but you'll always remember what you missed. And, that's what Bruce Arians said as a coach, is like, you never skip recitals. You never skip any of those things. You always do the things that are important. And that's the same thing here. Never chase a thief. Never skip an important event. Always do the things that matter to you most. That's the truth. That's the Blunt Doctor Show. We'll be back on this Wednesday with my man B to talk about, I don't know what the fuck we're going to talk about because football season's over. But we'll be back right here in like 10 minutes to talk Sunday Night Suns, because it's Sunday Night Suns time. You feel like joining me, sir? Can you handle it?
Yes, sir.
Can we do it? All right.
We'll do it. Thanks for having me.
All right.
We'll rock it.
Blunt Doctor Show over. Sunday Night Suns incoming. Let's go.